Hey guys, it's Sam back with another tutorial, and this time we are going to be working on our portfolio builders assignment, our independent menu. Um, this project follows our folding travel brochure in InDesign, which is our Australia project. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a restaurant menu, that way we could add it to our portfolio. So we're going to be adding images, headlines, food items with descriptions. We could include prices, and we should use a tabs panel to control the placement of the prices. We could also add paragraph styles to edit copy on our menu. So for this one, I'm giving you guys two options. So option one, we could use the Blue Moon restaurant menu. So it is in our Against the Clock in our InDesign book on page 364. This would be in our 2021 version. So we'll be creating a menu for a cafe named Blue Moon Cafe. We'll be focusing on the breakfast menu. So we could include several dishes, drinks, and dessert. We could choose letter or tabloid size. We could do bleeds or no bleeds. It's up to you. And so this one I'm giving you guys a little more freedom. Make it a 2-page document to have a front and back. So it's a single sheet menu. We just have the front and back. And for this, we're going to download our Blue Moon files from our InDesign files. So we have those in our Against the Clock. I'm looking at the book right now. But if we have our InDesign files, we should have those there. And that contains all the assets we need. So I'm going to be doing my demo on this. And then I'm going to import the logo, any text, include some or all of the photos. Feel free to populate the menu with images you find online or replace anything that is provided. So again, you have the freedom. You could change menu items, so on and so forth. And option 2 is going to be your own independent menu. So this is pretty much you have more freedom with this. So this can be a recreation for a menu of an existing restaurant or in a restaurant that is completely made up. If you have like a favorite restaurant and you're not sure about their menu, you could make one up for them as well. You might want to recreate a logo in Illustrator and import it as well. You're going to find images on your own for this. And again, choose letter or tabloid size with no bleeds. Again, up to you if you want to add bleeds. And you can make this a 2-page document. So you'd have like a front, a back. And then if you open it up, it's going to have pretty much your spread. So you could have pretty much your interior spread is going to have all your information, and you'll have like a cover and a back front cover and back cover. So that'll be a 2-page document. So for this one, you would find a logo online, or you could create your own. You could find menu items online, import as you wish, and populate your menu with images, as well as any text. And then for both of these, we're going to be delivering a PDF format. So I'm going to do a simple one-page design, but it's going to be front and back. So technically, we'll have 2 pages we're designing. So let me go ahead and close this. And if we are doing the Blue Moon one, so it says your client, the owner of Blue Moon Cafe, has hired you to redesign the look of the cafe's menus. The new menu design should reflect the gourmet style of the oceanfront bistro. Determine the best size and shape to present the menu. Design the template so you can reuse to create the bistro's new breakfast, lunch, and dinner menus once the layout is approved. I'm going to skip that. I'm not going to create a template. I'm just going to go right into it. Since it is an easy 8.5 by 11, we're going to download these files, and then we'll use the client's applied logo once again. So that is that. Let me go ahead and I'm going to first start off with my folder structure. So I'm going to go into my working file. I'm going to create a new folder. So create a new folder, and I'm going to name this PBA, Portfolio Builders Assignment, and menu. So within the menu, I'm going to add another folder, and I'm going to name this assets or links. Let me go ahead and just name it assets. So I'm going to bring in anything that I need in there. So I'm going to go into my InDesign files. So if you're working for the Blue Moon Cafe, where we have these files provided for us. So if we go in here, we open up unzip Blue Moon, and let me copy this whole folder over. And I'm going to go down to my menu folder that I created, and I'm going to drop this into assets. So in assets, I have this blue moon, and I have a logo. I have a bunch of menu items, and I have a few images of some coffee, muffin, some orange juice. So we could always add more, subtract. If you are making your own from scratch, the same thing in assets is where you should save all of your files. And then, that one you're kind of a little bit more on your own. But, as you see, this says our main things we need. There's going to be a logo, some menu items, and some images. So let me go ahead and open up InDesign. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new file. So I'm going to click on print, and I'm going to do this. And I'm going to change the units to inches. And I had selected, well, letter was already selected. If not, let's change the width to 8.5, the height by 11. I am going to turn off facing pages. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to do any columns or margins right now. I'm just going to leave all of this as is because I'm going to be placing the images and everything, as I see fit. So, and I'm not going to worry about, what? I changed my mind. I'm going to go ahead and add a bleed. So I'm going to add a 0.125 inch bleed, so 1/8 of an inch around all the way around. And I'm going to go ahead and click create. What I should have done is added 2 pages. So let me go ahead and I could always come back and add pages here. So under pages, I'm going to go ahead and click the little plus sign. So I have 2 pages. So I'm going to have basically my front and the back of it. I'm going to do it into the second page. And I'm going to go to File, Save As. And I'm going to go back into my menu folder, and I'm going to name this, I'm going to name it Blue Moon Menu, and I'm going to go ahead and add my last name, and I'm going to save it. Okay, so now I kind of know what I want. I have an idea. I did like a rough sketch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place like a moon in this area, and I'll show you the sketch in a bit because I'm going to create a Photoshop file that's going to serve as my background here. And I'm going to kind of do the sketch there, and that way you see where I'm going with it. But everything is going to live in here in InDesign. So all the type, all that, pictures I'm going to put in here. It's just like my main background is going to be built in Photoshop. And then the back one's going to be a little bit more simple, but I'm still going to create like a little backdrop for it. So let me go ahead and create a Photoshop document. So let me go ahead and open up Photoshop, and I'm going to do create new. And let me go ahead and click on print, click on letter. So now that gives me my 8.5 by 11. And yeah, resolution at 300 is fine. Let me change this to CMYK color. And all of this doesn't really matter. We could leave it as is, as long as we have the 8.5 by 11. And I'm going to go ahead and click create. So one thing that, if you remembered, I wanted to add I added the bleed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some guides in here. So I'm going to do Command or Control A, and that selects my whole 8.5 by 11 Photoshop document. And I'm going to bring down some guides just to the edges of this. And this is basing it off of the selection that I just made. So I have those guides, and then I'm going to deselect. So I'm going to go to select, deselect, and then I could go to image, and then canvas size. And I want to add the 1/8 of an inch to pretty much to each side. So on the width, if I add 0.125 and 0.125, that gives me 0.25. So that's going to be 1/4 of an inch. So if I add 1/4 of an inch to this 8.5 inches, it's going to be 8.75. So I'm basically splitting the difference. I'm adding the 0.125 from the left and 0.125 to the right. And on the same note, the height, so I'm going to have the 1/8 of an inch on the top, 1/8 of an inch on the bottom. So that's going to be 1/4 of an inch, so 11.25. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. I'm not changing any of this. This tells me that it's adding this size from the center out. So if I click OK, so now that is my original document size, the 8.5 by 11. However, it is adding that extra bleed. So these guides now tell me that this is where it's going to trim and anything else is extra bleed. So I do not want to put anything that could potentially get trimmed out here. Now that we have like this set, I'm going to go to File, Save As. And I'm going to go ahead and put this into actually my desktop. I'm going to look for my Sam Limon folder. And I'm going to go into my menu folder and I'm going to put this into my assets. I'm going to name this background or menu BG and then front. So this is going to be one file for my front. I'm going to save it. And I'm going to go ahead and place the logo in here. So I'm going to go File, Place. Place embedded, and I could go into my Blue Moon folder, select my Blue Moon Cafe logo, and go ahead and click OK. We could always add this into our InDesign file, but I'm just going to go ahead and place it here. And before I do that, let me go ahead and show you actually the sketch that I wanted to do. So I'm going to add this layer. Let me turn off the Blue Moon logo real quick. Let me select my brush and let me select black. So here's my idea. Roughly it's going to be a moon right here. I'm going to have the logo here. Some information such as like the address, phone number, maybe website, maybe some social media icons or something here. And we could start creating maybe like our first menu items here, or like the name of a certain section, and then we could have like a main pretty much like the name of a dish here, the information about it, and like an image here. And then the next one I'm gonna swap it, flip it, or I could keep it consistent, it doesn't really matter. But on this one I was gonna do an image here. And then I was going to do this right aligned menu item here, and then we could have like right aligned description and so on and so forth. And then we'll have like the second page. So it's just going to kind of follow this theme. So let me go ahead and turn this layer off. I'm going to name this sketch just to show you guys like my main idea. So I'm going to have my Blue Moon logo there. I'm going to save this again, and then let me go ahead and find some images. So I'm going to look for a moon that I could put as a background, and I'm kind of building this on the fly, so I might change it up a bit, but for the main part I have an idea in my mind and pretty much in the sketch as well. So let me actually go in here, let me add another page. I want to search for a moon. So let me go to, let's try my go-tos. So Unsplash, and let's see if I find a blue moon. If not, I could just find like a night moon. So something like this would be pretty cool. And yeah, this will work perfectly. So I'm gonna go ahead and download this one. Let's see if there's anything else that I might find that looks pretty cool. Kind of like this, but I don't want to do a black background. I kind of want to have it like some light blues. So let's start off with that moon. So let me go into my downloads folder, and that opened up over here. So I'm gonna bring this file over here into my assets folder. I'm gonna have this moon, so I'm going to go ahead and open it. So I'm going to go into Photoshop. I'm going to go File, Open. And let me go into my Assets folder, find this moon, click Open. And I'm simply going to select the black. So I'm going to select with my Magic Wand tool, select the black area, and then I'm going to click on Mask, click on my Layer Mask, and then once I'm in my Layer Mask, I'm going to do Command I. And let's see, it didn't really do the best job. I still see an outline, but we could always mess with that. So let me click on my Selection tool, or on my Move tool, actually I should say, and drag this moon over in here. And I'm going to bring it under my logo. Click on my Move tool. And sometimes when you do a mask like this, it leaves like an outline here. So I'm going to go into my Layer Mask and select my brush. I'm going to make it a little bigger and make sure it is in black. And I want to click and drag to hide this. Now let me move it so something like that. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Command or Control T. And for now, let me go ahead and add a solid color as a background. Try to find like a very light blue. Maybe something like this. Let me drag that underneath as the background. Okay, so one thing we notice here is on the moon, it wasn't a perfect selection here. So we see a little bit of that black background. So we want to get rid of that. So what we want to do is click on our Layer Mask, and then we go to Select and Mask. Let's change the view mode to on white, so we could see a white background. And I'm going to change the opacity to 100%, so it's full white. Under Edge Detection, let's click on Smart Radius, and I'm going to bump this up. So this is just going to be a matter of playing with these settings and try to find where it gets rid of that outline of that line. I'm going to bump it up a little. Let me move Smooth up a little. And some of these might take a little bit to render out. So if the computer gets a little slow, just give it a second. It should do its thing. I'm going to bump up Feather a little bit. Contrast a little as well. And I do want to shift the edge, so I'm going to go maybe -35 and see how that starts looking. So you can see it's already starting to work, so let me shift the edge a little bit more. And start bumping all of these up a little. And it starts feathering it a little, so it's starting to look a lot better. And this is just to avoid, manually going in there and doing a selection or brushing this out. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's going to go against light blue that I have, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And there we go. I'm going to say that looks decent. And then I'm going to go ahead and let me try an effect on this. Let me try a outer glow. And let's choose just white. And let me increase the spread a little bit. I have preview checked on so I could see what it's doing as I'm doing this. So and we'll see, this might work, this might not, but let's try a light blue. And let's see what it does. Yeah, a little bit. So that makes the moon stand out a little bit against this background. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that. And now I want, I'm seeing that this blue moon logo is not, doesn't stand out a whole lot here. So let me go ahead and add an effect on that. And let's see what it would look like with the bevel and emboss. And let me go ahead and add an inner shadow. So let's see, let's change the color for this the inner shadow. Let's go into like the darker blues. Click OK. It's on multiply. I'm going to reduce this. Let me turn off the bevel and emboss for now. So this is making it look like it is cut into the moon. So I'm liking this. So the more I push this under multiply, the more it looks like it's cut into the moon. So I'm liking that, and then let me go ahead and add actually an outer glow. And let me reduce the size of this. It doesn't need too much. Let me increase the opacity. And let me change this to normal. So this is going to give me a normal view of that outer glow. So let me turn it off and on. So that immediately stands out a lot more. So I'm going to click OK. And let's zoom out. So I'm just doing this for legibility due to the fact that these craters were kind of the same color as the blue. So it makes it tough to read. So first of all, I added the inner shadow. So that makes it look like it is indented into the moon. And then I added the outer glow just to make these areas white. Pretty much everything around this becomes white, or that light blue actually. And that makes it stand out. So I'm going to say that looks pretty good. Let me close this, close these effects, save it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place this file into the into my InDesign file. So I'm going to close this moon. We no longer need it. So save this. Now I'm going to go into InDesign. I'm going to go into my layers panel. I'm going to add a new layer, and this one's going to be named, so the bottom one, layer 1, it's going to be named background. And in my layer 2 is where I'm going to be placing any of the text or images. So I'm going to put this, name this one information. So I want to go into my background layer, and I want to do file place. And what I'm going to place is my Photoshop file. So I'm going to go into my Sam Limon folder, go into my menu folder, go into assets, and I'm going to put my menu BG front PSD file open. And I'm going to just click. So that places that Photoshop file in there, and I'm going to move it until it snaps right up to my bleed. So it is the same size actually. So this is going to fit perfectly. And once it lines up, I get my guides there that show me that it is centered. So once that is set, I could go ahead and lock this. So this is in my background layer. If it looks a little bit blurry here, don't worry. It's just not rendering it as sharp because you know, if it renders it high quality, it's going to get a little slower. If you did want to do that, we could go to View, Display Performance, and we could do High Quality Display. So this is going to show you how it looks. If your computer just happens to lag a little, just go to View, Display Performance, and you could do Typical, or you could even do the Fast. And this is not even going to show it at all, but I like to see something. So let's go to Display Performance, and I'll keep it at high for now. And like I said, if it can't handle it, then go ahead and do the lower quality. So let's go ahead and save this as well. And let's see what else I want to add. Maybe something along the bottom here. So I don't know, some mountains or some trees, or you know, just a little something, so I could have this looking good. So I'm going to go back into my Photoshop file, and maybe I'm going to make my moon a little bit smaller. So I'm going to select this layer, Command T, make it a little smaller, something like this, hit return or enter, and let me move my Blue Moon Cafe logo up here. And let me name this moon, just so I know what it is. Save it. So as soon as I save this, if I go into my Illustrator file, now that I have changes, you notice we get this little warning, so it tells me it's modified. So if I click it, it's going to update it. So that's a good thing about having this Photoshop file linked to this. If we see our links panel down here, we could see we have the menu, BG front, PSD link, file linked. So any changes that we make within our Photoshop file, it's going to detect them in our InDesign file. So let me go ahead and look for some images here. Maybe I could find some vector images actually. So let me go to vecteasy.com and see what I find. So let me look for vectors. I'm going to look for mountain trees. And let me go ahead and select free license. And yeah, kind of like this. So, and it kind of goes with the blue. So maybe I'll go ahead and add something like that. This looks pretty neat as well. I don't need too much, so actually, let's see. That's one option. So I'm gonna command and click that one. Let me look for beach. And then let's look for blue. So let's see if there's anything within here. No, let me just go ahead and stick with this original one. Let me go ahead and download this. And the accounts are free, so if you happen to not have it, just go ahead and sign up and you'll be able to download a few of this. I think there's a limit to how many assets you could download, but you know, you could always pay more to get premium. But for now, this is good for us since I'm only going to use a couple of these. So let me go ahead and close this. Minimize this. Now let me go into my Finder. I'm going to be placing what I downloaded into my assets folder once again. So I'm going to open up my downloads folder. That opens up on the side here. Let me bring this in into assets. And let me unzip this or expand it. So now I have these in EPS format. So I'm going to open this now in Open with Illustrator. The reason being is that I want to separate some of these layers. So now I'm starting to, you know, really work with all the programs at once because, you know, I'm taking files from here, from there. I want to be able to match this in Photoshop. So I'm going to select this. First thing I see is this is all a group. And, you know, this is optional. Your menu could be a lot more simple. I just want to show you what else is possible here. So I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to ungroup it. Let me take a look at my layers as well to see what we have. So, you know, that's like a background. Maybe this mountain range. I know I do want some trees, so let me actually select these. Hold shift, select these. So I want to take these as one group. So let me move these up. And yeah, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to do Command C to copy these. Then I'm going to go into Photoshop and I'm going to do Command V. So then it tells me that's going to paste them. So do I want to bring them as smart objects, as pixels, a path, a shape layer? I'm going to go ahead and bring these as a shape layer. That way I could control the color a little bit easier. So click OK. Now I can tell the trees are huge. They cover up everything. So I'm going to do Command T. And I'm going to scale these down a bit. So bring them down here. And I want these just barely popping up here. So hit return and I'm going to choose a color. So let me double click here since it is a shape. Here's where I said it's going to be a little easier to manipulate the color. So I'm going to make these a little bit darker like this. And maybe I could sample the color from here actually. So let me turn off my effects for my Blue Moon logo. I'm going to click my eyedropper tool. I'm going to select this color and then double click here. I'm going to copy this color. Click OK. Turn my effects back on. And now I want to double click on this shape here. And that gives me the color picker. And I could highlight this number here, the hex code, and do Command V and click OK. So that pasted that exact color. The only reason why it looks different is because that has the effects. And let's go ahead and name this trees. Go ahead and save it. And I do want to add a few mountains as well. So I want to add maybe this mountain range. One mountain range is fine. So I'm going to do Command C. Go into Photoshop. I want to do Command V. And again, well actually since this one I'm looking at, since this one has like lights and darks, I want to undo, go to Photoshop, and I want to paste this actually as, let's actually bring it in as a smart object. And I do not want to add it to my current library, so I'm going to uncheck this and click OK. And now I can drag this over here. I want to put this behind my tree line. And since it is a smart object, if I ever wanted to go back and change this, it's going to open up in Illustrator. So click on my Move tool, drag it down here, and select both of these and just bring them down a little bit. I don't want this to take up too much space because remember I do want to add some menu items here. So I'm going to call that good. So this is just a little touch for the bottom here. And maybe I could add this one too. Command C. Go into Photoshop, Command V, paste it as a smart object. And let me bring this one underneath these mountains, and let's bring this behind. So something like that might look pretty good. And actually I want to add maybe some whites up here, so that way it goes from white to this like darker blue, and we'll see how that plays out. Or actually I could maybe make it darker from the top down, so let's go ahead and try something like that. So I'm going to copy this color fill layer, so I'm going to hold the Option and drag this, Option or Alt, drag it up. Now I'm going to change this color to a little bit darker blue. Go ahead and click OK. Now I want to hide all this, so I could do Command or Control I to switch the switch this so it's hiding this layer, hiding the darker blue. So now I want to click on my gradient tool, and I could go in and select from basics. I could choose this this one that's foreground to transparent. So I'm going to click it, and so if I notice, that gives me from basically black to transparent, which is going to hide. So what I could do is click on the letter X, so that switches it. Now that goes from hiding to transparent. Sorry, from showing to transparent. So since it's white, it's going to show. So if I click from the top down, what it's going to do is it's going to blend from basically the white, which is going to show, and to transparent, which is going to hide, because it's not doing nothing. So that's what we get right here. So a nice gradient in our layer mask. And we could always come back and edit the color, make it a little bit darker. And I'm going to make it a little more blue. So something like that. I'm liking something like that. Maybe not as much, so let's tone it down just a little bit. And let's go ahead and save that. Command or Control S. Maybe I want to change my trees down here to something a little bit darker as well. Just want them to stand out a little bit more. As long as we stay within the same hue, within the same blues, there will be no problem there. So click OK, Command or Control S. Let's go back to InDesign, and let's update this. So there we go. So that is going to be our front page. And let me go ahead and add the back. So I'm going to add the back menu, the back part of the menu. So on this one, let me actually close down Illustrator. I no longer need it. Do not save. Let me go into Photoshop, and now I'm going to create the back. So let me go ahead and do File, Save As. We just saved it. So first of all, we want to make sure we save this one. Now we're going to do a Save As. So when we do a Save As, we're taking this one and we're making a copy of it. And we are going to change this to back. So Menu, BG, Back. Save it. On this one, I do not want the logo. I do not want the moon, because I want to use that space to put in more information. So this was pretty much just a presentation for the front. So, and let me show you the sketch on this one. So I'm going to delete this sketch. I could either delete or turn this off. Let's go ahead and delete the logo. I don't need it. I want to go ahead and delete the moon. What I do want to keep is these elements down here, just to have it connect with the front. So let me go ahead and create a new layer, and here's what the sketch is going to look like. So I'll click Sketch. Sorry, I'm going to click my brush tool, click OK, and let me make my brush size a little bit smaller. So on this one, it's going to be the continuation of maybe a menu item here, and then its description, and on the right a picture, and then maybe a new section starts off here. You know, this one could be beverages, for example, and then I could have, you know, a beverage here, the beverage name, some information here about it, and a picture on the right hand side, and then it'll switch to a picture on the left hand side, and our menu item here, and our type here, and so on and so forth. So this is obviously not to scale because I'm going to add more items, but I could go ahead and use this kind of like as a guide to see what I'm going to do. Let me turn this off. Let me save it. And now let me go to my InDesign file. I'm going to go to my pages, and I'm going to go to my second page. So page 2 here. Page 2 has nothing. Let me open up my layers panel, unlock the background because I want to set the other file here as a background. So I'm going to go to File, Place, and I'm going to select my menu, BG, Back. So menu, background, back. Go to Open, and I'm just going to click to place it. When I click, it places it at 100%. So since I built it the same size as how this has the bleed, I'm just going to drag it up and left until it snaps in, and I could see it lining up at the center again. So there I have my back of the menu, and let me go ahead and lock it here and save this file. So I just set up my front page here and my back page. So I could start, you know, adding information here. In the meantime, I don't think I need my Photoshop files anymore, so I'm going to close this. So that is pretty much set, and those files are in my InDesign file. So now I could go ahead and start placing some information here. Okay, so now that we have our 2 pages, the backgrounds for our 2 pages, we could start importing some of the information. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my folder with let's start putting on our type first. So I'm going to go into my Blue Moon folder, and I'm going to go ahead and open up the cafe menu.rtf file. Go ahead and open that one. So now I could start cutting and pasting some of this information. So luckily it is laid out with some formatting. So I'm just going to copy like the main items here, or the main, we'll call these sections. We'll call this an item, and we'll call this the description. So we have three different paragraph styles that we could apply. So let me go ahead and copy this: bagels, pastries, and sweetbreads. So I'm going to do Command C, and I'm going to go into my InDesign file, click on my type tool, and let me go into my layers panel. I see that right now it is locked because I cannot click on this. So I'm going to go into my layers panel and select my information layer, and let me go back to my pages panel. So now I'm able to do this. So I'm going to click, zoom in a little bit first. I'm going to click and drag from this left margin to the right margin, so that way I know I could center something. And now I could do Command or Control V. So that pastes this, which is going to be one of our main sections. So let me start formatting this. So I'm going to click on click up here in our options or control panel, or I could always go into my character panel. So I don't see it here, so I could go into window, and then I could go to type in tables and click on character, and here it is. So I probably want to group this one and paragraph together, just because they go hand in hand. And I'm going to click on my characters. I'm going to change this to one of the ATC fonts. So against the clock, let me go do ATC Agate Black, kind of like that one. And let me go ahead and center this, and let me make increase the size of this. So maybe I can increase it here and here as well, maybe about 20 points, and I'm happy with that. So let me move this up a little. Let me go ahead and open up my my type file here, and then I'm going to go ahead and select what I'm going to call an item. So it's going to be this fresh baked Central Market scones. Command or Control C to copy it, and then I'm going to click on my type tool over here, and I'm going to align it to the left over here. So I'm going to click and drag a text frame, and I'm going to do Command or Control V to paste it. Now I'm going to change the font to this. Let me go ahead and find another ATC font, and on this one, I'm going to switch this up. I'm going to do ATC Agate Bold on that, and let's change this one to a sans serif. So this one's going to be serif, and this will be sans serif. So ATC. I know Onyx is one of them. Let's see what else we have. Let me do ATC Garnet Ultra. So that's going to be one of them. And at this point, you could choose whatever font you want. And then on this one, let me do ATC Agate Bold, and let me make the size a little bit bigger. So that's going to be one paragraph, and I'm going to keep its description in another paragraph. So I'm going to select the whole description, Command or Control C. I'm going to put my cursor, click on my type tool here, put my cursor at the end of scones. Press enter or return. So I'm going to put my cursor at the end of scones, click there, and then press enter or return to push it down to the next area, and then I'm going to do Command or Control V. And let me go ahead and make my text frame a little bigger. So I'm going to select on my selection tool and click and drag out. So remember, that's just going to take the shape of that. And I'm going to click on my type tool, and I'm going to select from this $39 back to the start of the description, which is rich varieties. And let's change this from ATC Agate Bold to ATC Agate, let's try medium, let's try book. I kind of like book. And let's make this font a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go down to maybe a 12-point size. There we go. That looks a little good. Let me make this smaller here, and let me see if we have an image for the scones within our folder. So go to our Finder. All we have is a couple different copy images, a muffin, and orange juice. So this is where I could go online and find an image of a scone. So let's go to Google. Let me go ahead and open up this, and let me just go to do a Google search for scones. And let's go to images. Let's go ahead and choose our tools and make this a large size. And let's try to find a pretty nice image. So let's try to find something that looks fairly appetizing. So a lot of these look pretty good actually. Let me go ahead and choose this one that has, well, I like the detail on it, but I don't like how the pan looks around here. Here we go. This one's pretty nice, has a nice presentation. So let's select it. Let me right click, and actually let me go back here. Right click on this, and then I'm going to open image in a new tab. So there we go. That's a nice presentation. I'm going to right click, save image as, and I'm going to go ahead and put it into my folder, so into my assets folder. Let's go into our menu, assets, and save it right here. Check out the name, so it is the best scones. Save it, and it is a JPEG, so that's perfect. So now I could go back in here. I could go to File, Place, and I'm going to select my scone JPEG and click Open. Whoops, so I accidentally had this selected, so what's going to happen is it's going to replace this. So what I want to do is undo this, so Command or Control Z, and it places it on my cursor. So let me click and let me delete it. So what I should have done is click on my selection tool and click away to deselect this, and then go to File, Place. And now I could choose the image that I want to place, click Open, and I'm going to click and drag to create a rectangle. And it places it right there. So I'm just going to line these up at the top here. Maybe I could to resize this. Remember, we have to put our cursor on, let's say, an edge here, and press Command and Shift, and then I could resize the whole image here. If I don't do that, if I just hold Shift and close this, what it's doing, it's making the image frame smaller. So I want to make everything smaller, so I have to do Command and drag this down, and hold Shift constrains the size. And then a quick little thing I want to do here is I notice this is hyphenated. So I could always, if I just select this, and if I go to my paragraphs tab, I could click on hyphenate, so that gets rid of any hyphens. And let me make this a little bit bigger so I have the information there. Now what I want to do is I want to start setting up paragraph styles. So I'm going to select this bagels, pastries, and sweetbread, and I'm going to open up my paragraph styles tab, and I'm going to create a new paragraph style here, and I'm going to double click this paragraph style, and I'm going to change this to the name. I'm going to change it to menu section. So every section is going to have this this styling. One thing I want to do is I want to make sure everything here is what I want. So no paragraph style. Let's see, I'm going to add next, same style, ATC Garnet, Ultra, size 20 points, align centered. Go ahead and click OK. So now let's just test it out. If I just put my cursor here inside Fresh Baked Central Market Scones, if I click menu section, it's going to change it to that, and it's centered, so that is good. So let me go ahead and undo this. Let me highlight this, and let's see if there's anything more bold. So let's see, black. Okay, so I'm liking this, so I'm going to select this paragraph style, or this paragraph, and I'm going to create a new paragraph style. So it's named paragraph style 1 now. Double click on this and I'm gonna go ahead and name it menu item. And so we see this is ATC agate black, size 15 point, and it does not have hyphenations. Just good to check all that. We could always come back and change any of these parameters here. But I'm going to go ahead and click OK for now. It is good. So now I have my menu item. And then I'm going to highlight this paragraph. Actually, both of these. And I'm going to add a new paragraph style. And I'm going to double click on paragraph style 1. I'm going to change the name on this to description, or menu description actually. I don't know what that came out. Let's see. Actually, let's do item description. It would make more sense. And so this is ATC agate book, no hyphenation. And I'm going to click OK. So there we go. So this paragraph, once I click it, it tells me it's item description. This part as well, if I put my cursor here, that's a menu item, and this is going to be a menu section. So now we have our 3 main paragraph styles. So that would make it easier for us to start bringing things in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another type box. So I'm going to click and drag it, and I'm going to go into my text information, and I'm just going to copy all of this information, Command C, and put my cursor in here, and I'm going to do Command V. So now what I could do is I could highlight this fresh seasonal fruit tarts, and I could go into my paragraph styles, and I could name this a menu item. Click on that, and then I'm going to select all of this information, and I'm going to name it, or I'm going to click on menu section. Oh, sorry, item description. And then one thing I noticed right here, we could come back and change a lot of this stuff, but this raisins right here alone, this is not good design. So we would figure out a way to bring it up here. So one thing would be maybe make this a little bigger, and it forces it up. We could select all this, and we could maybe decrease the tracking here. So this is the tracking. We could decrease it by -10, and it forces it up. So there's a few different ways where we could work something like this out. I'm going to leave it as is for now, because I want to just start blocking in my main information. And then let me go ahead and select all of this, and I'm going to right align it. And I'm going to click over here, and I'm going to drag this to the right, so hold shift. And I'm going to add an image to the left over here. So let me look for fruit tarts. So this is going to require me looking up a lot of these items. So fruit tarts. And let's make sure our tools, we have size something large. That way we have the highest quality possible. So let's see how this one looks. That one looks pretty nice. So right click, open image in a new tab. First we have to open it, and let me right click, save image as. And let's see, it's fruit tarts, so I'll know the name. Go ahead and save it. Go to InDesign, and we're going to do File Place. Or we could do Command or Control D. So we'll try that, Command D. And let's look for our fruit tart. Click on Open, and I'm going to click and drag from the left-hand side over here. And something like that. So now we have that image there. And let's see how much information this is and how much we could fit. So we do have both pages. So let's go ahead and select this Fresh Baked Market Bagels. Command or Control C. And let me go ahead and copy this. So I'm going to hold Option and drag this one down, hold Shift. Since you already have that, let me double click in here to put my type tool in there, highlight all of this, and I'm going to do Command or Control V to paste everything. So now this picks up a previous set styles. So what I want to do is set my own styles. So I'm going to highlight Fresh Baked Market Bagels. Let me go ahead and click on menu item here. And then I'm going to highlight on the rest of this and click on item description. And let me make this a little smaller. Now I can look for my bagels image. Close this out. And let me go ahead and again, so this is going to be very repetitive. I could have done this before, just look for all my images, but I'm doing it one by one. So, and if you notice, since my design is like a little bit more horizontal based, I'm looking for horizontal images. So let me continue looking for that. This one looks pretty nice. Open image in the new tab. Save image as. And when they have like a name like this, I intro with numbers. I want to just name it something that I know, so I'm going to just name it bagel. And let's close this. Go to InDesign, Command D. Actually, let's cancel this. I noticed this is selected. So I'm going to click away, do Command D to place, and I'm going to look for my bagel file. Click open, and then I'm just going to click and drag. And let me go ahead and move it to the right over here, align it to the top here. I notice I do have one error down here, it's telling me. So let me see what that's about. Let me open up my pre-flight panel. And that tells me text. So I have overset text in a frame. So let's see where that is at. Close this. So all we have basically right now is that one, and this one. Oh, so it's right here. So I can see it has a little plus sign. So if I drag down, sometimes all it is just the space here. So if I put my cursor here, and if I just do backspace, and if I move this up, there we go. So that was probably it. Now let me double click and highlight all of this, and let me go back to item description. Okay, there we go. Because I noticed the leading here changed a little bit, so that's good. Let's go ahead and save. One thing that I forgot to do was go ahead and add the address here and all the basically the contact information for the menu. So you click on my type tool. I'm not going to create a paragraph style, so since this is going to be like a one-shot thing, it's just some information. So I'm going to click and drag to create a type frame, and I'm going to make sure, if you notice, I'm aligning everything to the right here, so I'm keeping a nice alignment with things, just part of like proper design. And let's make up an address. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, let's do our school's address, just to have something that looks proper. So let's go ahead and go to nvoc.org. Let's see if we have it under contact us. I'm gonna select actually the address and the phone number, do Command C, and I'm gonna put my cursor in here, do Command V. Maybe we don't need this, so remove address, and then put my cursor down, do a backspace here, and then on the phone I'm not going to do that as well. So let's go ahead and highlight this. I'm going to do a bold font here, character. Let's go ahead and stick with our ATC fonts. You don't have to do this, but you could choose anything you want. Let's do ATC Pyrite. And I'm going to go ahead and right align it. So I'm going to select it all. If I go into my paragraphs panel, I could click right align here, or I could do it up here as well, right here. So either place. And let's go ahead and add an email down here. So I'm going to press return or enter, and www.bluemooncafe.com. And actually I'm thinking maybe I could just have this nice and centered here. So I'm going to select all of this and center it. And I'm going to change the color to white. So I don't know why my characters changed up here. So I know it's ATC Pyrite, so I'm going to do Command or Control A. I'm going to go ahead and go to my character panel, ATC Pyrite Bold, select that, and let's see how it looks like in white. So I'm going to go in here and choose paper. One thing that I do want to do is make my phone number bigger, because people are usually looking for the phone number on a restaurant more than anything. So if this is a menu that you're able to take home, so I'm going to go ahead and triple click on the phone number here, and I'm going to up the size a little bit. And maybe on the website a little bit as well. And if I notice there's a lot more space up here between this and this, so I want to maybe bring down the Blue Moon Cafe. So I'm going to increase the lettering a little bit. Let me choose, let's see, that font size is 14. So I know my lettering has to be a little bit bigger than that, so maybe 20. So visually that looks about right. So let me go ahead and see if there's a bolder. Let's see, heavy. So heavy looks pretty good, and let me do some kerning here. So I'm gonna put my cursor in between some of these and hold Option and do my right or left arrow click, or left and right arrow button. And so I'm going to say that looks pretty good. So if I want to see this without the without all these text frames, I could press the letter W, and so that's how it's going to look. So I say that looks pretty good. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. So hold Shift, bring it down. So pressing W. So that looks like a nice spot for that. So now I'm thinking I could add like a slight drop shadow to this. Let me go ahead and select this, and I could go to Effects and click on Drop Shadow. I want to leave it at multiply, and I want to select the color. And actually for my swatches, let me go to CMYK. Actually, let me cancel this. Just go ahead and click OK. So that left that there. What I want to do is sample this color. So I'm going to click on the eyedropper tool and select this color. So now I want to double click here, and I want to see, actually I could add it to my CMYK swatch. So add it there, so it added it to my swatches panel. Click cancel. So now I could go in here and I could go to my effects panel and double click here and on that effects, and let me change this color to this blue we created. So now I have that, so it's not as harsh. Click OK, and let me go ahead and change the distance. I don't want it too far. A little bit down, and let me drop the offset. Let me do like a 0.03. The X offset, and then the Y offset to 0.03 as well, and turn preview off and on. So I'm going to say that looks pretty good, just minor, and that way it could stand out against that background. Go ahead and click OK. So there we go. And then I want to add some information down here, so we could put our cursor here, put return or enter. Let me click on my selection tool. I'm going to click on W, and I'm going to make this a little bit taller, and I'm going to put my cursor in here. And then I'm going to add dine in hyphen take out hyphen, and then I'm going to add free delivery. So this is going to be like a take-home menu as well as like a menu in the restaurant. So let's see, maybe we want to add the same as this phone number. So we're going to do ATC Pyrite Heavy because we want to emphasize the free delivery. I think that would be a good selling point. So let's make free delivery ATC Pyrites Heavy. And let's go ahead and make it a little bit bigger. So there we go. We have some good information there. And I think that should be pretty good. So anything we type in there now is going to pick up that effects that we did. So that drop shadow. Press W. That looks pretty good. Let me go ahead and shorten avenue to AVE period. So that was just like a nice stacking there. Okay, let me go ahead and save this. And let me go ahead and continue with these food items. So let's see what else we have. We might not be able to fit everything. So let me just add one more thing here. So let me do the fresh baked sweetbreads. So let me copy all this. Command C. And let's copy this one. Hold Alt and Shift because we want to do the right aligned one. Double click in here and then do Command A to select everything and then Command V to paste what we had. So I'm going to highlight fresh baked sweetbreads. I'm going to go into my paragraph styles. This is going to be the menu item. I forgot this also takes up that left alignment. So at the end, we'll just go ahead and right align it. And let's select all of this. And this should be item description. Click on that. And then we're going to do Command A to select everything. And let's right align it. And click on our selection tool. So now let's look up fresh baked sweetbreads to bring an image in. So let's go into Google. So this was fresh baked sweetbreads. Hit return. And I was going to go ahead and look for a variety, but I think this one's pretty good. So let's right click, open the image in a new tab, save image as. Sweetbreads, we're going to put it in our assets folder. Let's go ahead and save it and close this. Go to InDesign. So I'm going to click away now. And then I'm going to do Command or Control D to place. And let me look for our sweetbreads. Open, and I'm going to click and drag here. And I'm going to go ahead and save this. So that's starting to look pretty good. I could come back and make some more changes. Actually, let me bring this up a little bit. And let me bring everything else up. Maybe we could go ahead and fit that last item for the under the bagels, pastries, and sweetbreads section. I'm going to drag this all the way up to this line, and then I'm going to hold Shift and click down once, maybe twice. So that's going to be my spacing. Let me drag all this up. Select both of these, hold Shift and drag up, and hold Shift and click down twice. We might have to lower it to 1, or we could always change the yeah, so that didn't give us a whole lot of space. We could always change the font sizes here, make them a little bit smaller. So that might be what I'm going to do. So let's go ahead and let me go into my item description. Let me go ahead and double click on that and go to basic character formats, and I'm going to change this maybe to 10 points. Click OK. So notice how that changed everything, and let me go ahead and change the menu item to maybe 14 points. Click OK. And if I take this to the right over here, let's see, not much changes there. One thing I do want to do is select all of this because I see a lot of space there. So I want to see what that is about. So I'm going to go into my character, not my character styles, my actual character. So it all seems to be 12 points for my letting. So that might be because I have another return. So I'm going to go ahead and click on type and show my hidden characters. And let me go ahead and zoom in. Let me do backspace on this and then hit return. Let me do backspace here, and there it was. So it was that extra character paragraph return here, which was a bigger size. So that brings it up a little bit. I could probably now make my image a little smaller. And let's bring this to the right. Let's line it up nicely. And let's bring this to the left. Maybe we'll give it a little bit of space or something like that on both. Then if we notice right here, rich varieties of fresh made miniature, all this sentence, there's space right here where we could probably bring up that specialty word right here. So I'm going to select from here back, and I'm going to decrease the kerning here, or actually the tracking. So I'm going to click down once, and by giving it a -10, let's try -5 and see if we get more space. So I think that -5 is perfect. It brings it up. It doesn't look off. And actually, let's do something similar here, because now we have raisins here. We do not want it by itself. So let's try a -5 in the kerning. Let's go to 7, -7, and that brought raisins up. So that forced this to be in 2 lines, and it looks pretty good there. And now let's go ahead and right here where it starts off in 20, let's go to backspace and then hit return. So that adds that line right here. And let's hold shift and bring both of these up. And then I'm going to hold shift and click down once. And let's go ahead and make this one a little bit smaller. And I'm going to say that looks pretty good. Let's bring both of these up. Hold shift and bring this down. And I'm going to make this bread a little smaller, or the bagels a little smaller. And that space is fine. So this kind of goes with that. So we'll do the next one. Hold shift, bring it up till it snaps into that area. And then hold shift, bring it down, and let's go ahead and make this smaller. So with each one of these images, I'm taking it until it matches up with the height and the bottom part of this. And let me go ahead and add the next one. So I'm going to copy this, hold Option, Shift, drag it down, and that is going to be my this best of the season fruits and berries. So I'm going to select this all, Command C, highlight all of this. So I could double click, or I could click on my type tool and select it all, do Command V. And let me go ahead and highlight the title. So I'm going to go into my paragraph styles, choose menu item, highlight the rest of this, and this is going to be our menu item description actually. Drag this up and then hold shift and bring it down, and let me go ahead and look for an images of fruits and berries. So go and look for fruit and berry platter. If not, we'll go ahead and choose a bowl, or we'll search for a bowl. let's do bowl instead of platter and see, again, our tools. Let's look for a large image. So looking for a specific horizontal one. And one that looks pretty appealing. So let's go ahead and choose this one. And let's go ahead and save it. Again, it has this really long name with just numbers and letters, so I'm going to name it a fruit bowl. Make sure I'm in my assets folder, hit return, and there it goes. So it's an AVIF file, so I'm not too familiar with that one, but let's see if we could convert it. We might have to go to Cloud Convert. First of all, let's see if InDesign will read it. So let me click away here, deselect everything, go to File, Place. And it is not selecting it here, so I'm going to go cancel. I'm going to go and open up cloudconvert.com. And I'm going to select File. I'm going to go ahead and go to my desktop and find my working folder. Go into my menu folder, go into my assets, and open up that fruit bowl .avif file. Click on Open. And let's see, hopefully we could get lucky and this would convert it to a JPEG. So I'm going to click on Convert. And it looks like it worked, so I'm going to go ahead and download it. Close this. Let me open up my Finder over here, and I'm going to go and take it out of my Downloads folder and bring it into my assets. So again, just want to emphasize we want to stay organized, so I want to have this assets folder where we have all these images. Just because they are going to be linking. Let me close this. So these are all going to their proper link. And then let's go to Command or Control D. And let's go ahead and place our fruit bowl in here. Open. And I'm going to click and drag it to the right. And there we go. So now we have this whole section right here. And let's go ahead and save it. And let's go into Pages and let's go into the back. Actually, before that, let me jump back over here. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to copy these three parts. So I'm going to select the section name, an item and description, and an image. I'm going to do Command C to copy all of these, and I'm going to go back to page 2, and I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to do Command Shift and V. So that should place it. Command Shift V, not working. I'll just go ahead and do Command V to paste it, and I'm going to click and drag this to where it snaps into the center, and I'm just going to drag this to the top here. And let me go ahead and save it, and let's go ahead and we're going to go over to now our Good Morning Breakfast Buffets. So I'm going to highlight this, Command C, triple click here, Command V. I just want to double check. I'm going to highlight this all, paragraph styles, make sure it's a menu section, and then I'm going to highlight this whole Fiesta area, Command C, and I'm going to highlight all this, Command V to paste it, or Control V. Highlight Fiesta, and I'm going to go to my paragraph styles. I'm going to do menu item, and then I'm going to select the rest of this and do item description. And let's go ahead and see what we could find. So I'm looking at all the ingredients or what this has. So it just seems like a whole breakfast for a lot of people. So I'm gonna just look for an image of maybe breakfast catering or something along those lines. And again, let's look for a large image. And that one looks pretty good. So it has a lot of different things. So let's go ahead and open the image in a new tab. Save it. I'm going to name this breakfast, or actually name it Fiesta. Save it. And let me go into InDesign, and I could replace this one. Actually, let me go ahead and do that. So I'm going to select this and then go to File, Place, or Command or Control D. And I'm going to look for Fiesta JPEG, and I'm going to make sure Replace Selected Item is checked and click Open. So now that opens it, but sometimes the image frame is not, pretty much it fits this within the image frame. So we might have some things cut off. So if I make this bigger, no, that's right at the edge, at the bottom. See how there's more image there? So what I could do is I could right click, and then I could go to Fitting, and then I could fit the frame to the content. So this is gonna make the frame bigger, and it's gonna fit the content. So now we get the full image there. So now what I want to do is hold Shift and Command, and I could scale this down so that nothing is cropped off. And if I wanted to, I could actually, you know, that crop would have been fine. Or if I wanted to show less of this, I could always crop like that. But so I want to go ahead and leave it like that. So I'm going to go ahead and add a few more of these. So I'm going to pause this for a bit, and you'll see more of the items once I come back. So it's pretty much a repetitive process, and especially since I'm switching back and forth. But just to not make this super long, I'm going to go ahead and do those. So once we come back, I'll show you once this section is filled out. Okay, so here I have the whole back of the menu laid out. So I added more items here, and then for the beverages, I decided I'm not going to add any images to these. However, I am going to set them up in a different manner. So what I created was 3 different type boxes, and I set them up. You know, this one's aligned to the right, this one's to the left. Everything, the type is left aligned. And what I'm doing is I'm going to format these a little bit better. So for example, right here where it says fresh brewed house blend coffee, I'm going to maybe do a backspace here and press return, just so it reads a little bit better and that coffee line wouldn't be together. Sorry, wouldn't be separate. And let me go ahead and do something similar here. So fresh squeezed, I'm going to do backspace here and enter, and then market juices, and then so all of this looks good there. Okay, so one thing I noticed also on this, this was copied from our files from the Against the Clock book. So for the Blue Moon information. So this already had prices here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is select this one. Let me zoom in, and I'm going to mess around with the tabs so that I could align all these prices to the right. So what I want to do is I want to, let's see, this I'm going to leave as is. However, this whole group, I could push that 150 to the right, that $2 to the right, 150 here, all of these to the right. So you know what, I'm gonna make these a little bit smaller so that they're not as noticeable, because I want this one to have a little bit more space due to those tabs. So I'm gonna make this one smaller, bring this one to the left, and give this a little bit more space. Something like that. So it's not going to be exactly centered, but I'm going to use this to my advantage. Let me go ahead and change all of these so I could bring everything up. And then I'm going to decrease the kerning here. My goal is to try to have everything on one line. So right there, I achieved it. So that looks pretty good. I could come back and finesse these a little bit. But what I want to do is click on my type tool. And I want to select all of these. So what we want to do is open up our tabs bar. So let's go into type and click on tabs. Now what you don't want to do is move this ruler because it is aligned. So now what we want to do is we want to align these by the period. So let's go ahead and click on align to decimal. And we are going to click on align on. And I'm going to put period. And I'm going to go ahead and click over here somewhere. Now align it here. So what that does, it aligns all of these based on the period. And I could drag it to the left. This is where I want my period to be. So we could also align it to everything to the right. But I want to align these prices as they are. And then what I want to do as the leader, so instead of the tab, the space, I could press period and just click away. So that's going to add periods all the way up to the price. I could do period space if it's too many. And let me click away here. So that gives me a few less points. So I'm going to call that pretty good. What I could also do is align right justified. And I could drag this to the right. Maybe this will actually look better. So instead of trying to align it to the points, let me undo that last one. Maybe I should just try to align everything to the right over here. Let me make this a little bit bigger and drag this somewhere right here. So I think that looks pretty good. Let me click on my selection tool and move this in a little bit. So there we go. So now we played around with the tabs. So there's different ways that we could align. We could do a left justified tab, center justified, so we could per tab we could center letters and or words actually, and then we could align to a decimal or align to any character for that matter. So the first time I was trying to align it to a decimal, which these all fall into place, except this one was giving me a problem because it forced that 6-pack area to go to the right. So I just decided to do the right justified tab, and this looks a lot cleaner. So there you go. So tabs could be a little tricky, but once you get used to them, play around with them, and they'll be very helpful to do things like this. Now let me go ahead and close that, and let me zoom out. I could always make this a little smaller as well. Let me go ahead and center this one. I'm going to hold shift and drag it till I get that pink center line. Press W, and let's bring this to the right a little bit. And let's bring this to the left a little bit. So there we go. We have about the same space between here and here as we do here and here. So they're not exactly aligned perfectly, but given the space, I think this works out pretty good. And there we have it. So that is our menu, created both in Photoshop and InDesign. Brought in some Illustrator elements. We have this. Let me bring it up a little bit. Centered these, the main areas right here. So we have our sections. So this bagel section, breakfast section, and our beverages section. You know what? We could actually add a few images down here. So I'm actually changing my mind, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So let me press W, and let me make these a little bit smaller. And I do have the space for some images here. So let me go ahead and bring in, we do have a coffee image. So let me bring that one in. Let me go to my Finder. Those are going to be in my Blue Moon files. So let's bring up maybe this coffee TIFF. And let's see if this TIFF has has a background transparency. So let me bring this in, bring it in here, and click and drag. So as it has a white image, I kind of don't like it, so I'm going to scratch that. Let me go into my Finder. Let's see. I kind of don't like those white backgrounds, so I'm going to go ahead and just find other images to place there. So I'm going to look for fresh juices, maybe some coffee, and maybe an image that has like a variety of drinks. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Google. So I'm going to go ahead and do, let's see, fresh coffee. Again, let's look for a high quality image. This one looks pretty, actually this one that has the breads behind looks pretty nice. Let's go to open image in a new tab. Actually, open link in a new tab first, and then open image in a new tab. So there's that one. Let's look for fresh juices. This image looks pretty good. Let's see if it's a high quality one. Looks like it is. Open image in a new tab. Okay, so there's that one, and let's look for this one's pretty nice too. There's actually a lot of good ones here. Yeah, I think I like this one. So yeah, I like that one with the fruits. And let's go ahead and look for, let's see what that one had. Natural sodas, Snapple, water. Let's just look for drink varieties. And of course this one's going to be a little bit tougher to find. Let me put restaurant drinks. And this is something, although this is soda related, that's kind of something what I was looking for. Something that had like water, sodas, things like that. So let's click on this one, and yeah, it's not the best size, but you know what, it's not bad. So let's see this one. That one's pretty good. Let's see. Open image in the new tab. It's pretty blurry. So this one was good because it has, you know, different sodas, juices, water. But let's see if we find something else. For the sake of time, I'm just going to go ahead and save this one. So I'm going to right click, save image as. I'm going to put drinks and put it in my assets folder. Save image as on this one. I'm going to name this one juices. So I can see both of these are JPEGs, so that's good. And let's see this one, save image as. Let's name it coffee. And it's a JPEG, so got lucky this time. No files that we have to convert. So let's go to File Place. And I'm going to choose all three of those images at once. So I'm going to look for coffee. Hold Command or Control, click on drinks. And hold Command or Control and click on juices. Now I could open up all three at the same time. So I'm going to click and drag. And just to make it easy, I'm going to press the right arrow key twice. So that gives me these three boxes. And then I'm going to go ahead and let go. Now, since these are all selected, I'm going to right click on them, and then I'm going to go to fitting, and then I'm going to fit frame to content. So the frame is going to go around the content without extra like this one had. And let me zoom in a little. I'm going to make these all the same height. So I'm going to select them all, hold Shift and Command, and drag. So then I'm just going to center these within their respective boxes. So click on this one, hold Shift, select this top, the type box, and then click the type box again. So that sets that as my kind of anchor. And then now I'm going to go to my Align panel. If I don't have it, I mean, I could do it right here, align it horizontally, so by that center. Then I could go to Window and Properties. And I actually had it here, so Window Properties, and then now I could click Align as well, so I could align it horizontally here. And then I'm going to select both of these, and then click on this one because I want it to align to this, or I could just simply click over here in my Properties panel, Align to Selection, and then I want to have a selection to align it to, so it's going to be this one. So this one stays put, and this will align to that based on what I click on. So I'm going to do Align Horizontal Center. And then I'm going to click on both of these. Make sure I don't pick up anything else. So I'm going to click and drag again. Select this one because I want it to align to that selection, and then center it here. So this goes into this area a little bit. I want to go ahead and make that smaller a little. I'm going to hold Command, Shift, and I could drag it in from the bottom here. Make it just a little smaller. Select both of these again. Click on that one to align it to that and center it there. So now these are all aligned at the top. And there we go. We have some breakfast beverages. So there we go. So once we are done with our menu, I'm going to go ahead and save it. Once I'm happy, Command Control S. And then I want to go ahead and let's bring this down. I want to go ahead and do File Export. And I'm going to go ahead and save this as an Adobe PDF print file. Click on Save. Under our Adobe PDF preset, I'm going to go ahead and click on, last time what we were doing was high quality print. Let's go ahead and do PDF X1A 2001. So this is a pretty universal one. Go to compression, we'll leave everything as is, marks and bleeds. We do have the bleeds, however, I do not want to include them. This is not going for print. So since this is just to show me, make sure all of these are off. Make sure bleed and slug is off, and all of this is set to 0. And all of this should be good. I'll put CMYK, that's fine. So nothing else is good. I'm going to go ahead and export it. When we go into general, we could have this checked on, view PDF after exporting, so this will open it up automatically. So let's go ahead and export it and give it a few seconds to do its thing. It just popped up on my other window. So here it is, and so without the bleeds, it's not going to show us any of the bleed area. It's just going to trim right at the trim. So this is actually an 8.5 by 11 without that bleed area. And go ahead and review it. So once everything is pretty good, you're happy with it, I could go ahead and turn this in. So yeah, so feel free to, like, you know, change these up, change the sections here, maybe change you know, the fonts, change colors, have set paragraph styles for those, you know, experiment with some of the type, how to set things up, and feel free to ask me if you have any questions. And then this is what you're going to turn in. You're going to turn in your PDF file, and then you're going to save your InDesign working document for yourself. So we'll come back and revisit this. We'll go ahead and place this in a mock-up so that we could put it in our portfolio. Let's go ahead and save this, close it, close this. Let's go into our Finder, into our folder. And so this is kind of how I arrange things from the beginning. I like to have my InDesign file and my PDF in one area within the folder, and then my assets all within here. This is where I have my mess. but it is a controlled mess because, you know, I have everything that's linking to that. So if I ever need to move this, I could move this menu folder completely and everything gets carried along because all of these or most of these are going to be tied into my InDesign file. So it's going in there and pulling all that. So once again, go ahead and turn in your PDF, and I want to thank you once again, and we'll see you on the next one.